Hello, everybody. It's lovely to chat to you. I am here with Chris Hart, Principal Trumpet.
I'd like to introduce you to Pei-Jee Ng, our Principal Cellist.
And Katherine Bryan, of course, Principal Flautist.
And we're here to talk about our season closing concert this year, which is Shostakovich Festive Overture, Shostakovich Cello Concerto No. 2, and Shostakovich 11.
Conducted by our music director, Thomas Sondergaard.
So if you like Shostakovich, this is a good one.
Yeah.
This is a good concert for you.
Epic.
Shostakovich and the RSNO have always been sort of the perfect pairing, I think, in my whole time here. And obviously the recordings with Nimi Yervi in the 1980s, you know, that Shostakovich just sits very well here. And I think the orchestra love playing it. As a cellist, how do you feel when you see the Cello Concerto No. 2 come up?
Oh, it's my favourite piece,
Is
actually.
it?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I loved Shostakovich 1, and then when you progress from that, you discover No. 2, and you think, wow, it's just, you know, Shostakovich, it's in his later period of his life, and it's just really profound. I think he actually wrote it as he initially conceived the piece as a symphony. So he kind of referred to it as the Symphony No. 14 with cello part. And then eventually became, you know, a full-blown cello concerto.
There seems to be quite a lot of kind of very deep emotion, aside from Festive Overture, which is kind of a bit kind of Christmas music for me. But the cello concerto and the symphony are incredibly profound. I mean, you know, the subject of the symphony is it's
devastating.
Yeah, it's devastating, exactly. Yeah.
It's written in response to the Russian Revolution. Shostakovich has this incredible way of drawing an audience into a subject matter that is quite painful. In the way he writes. I mean, all the Shostakovich symphonies have this sort of power to them, an immense pain to them.
Obviously, from my point of view, there's a lot of exciting, very loud playing. But for me, a lot of that comes from the quiet bits. He draws you in. It's like, you know, if you have a teacher at school, it's never the ones that shout that grab your attention. It's always the ones that are quiet because they make you listen to them.
When you hear that quiet stuff that you're talking about in a concert hall, it's quite overpowering, actually. And that, I mean, as a wind player, Shostakovich writes these lonely solos so brilliantly. And it's quite emotional to play them, actually, because you're often just, it's like all the lights have gone out on the stage and it's just you in this tiny spotlight.
One of my highlights of performances in orchestra concerts was actually this piece, Shosta 11. My favourite absolute concert was years ago in Albert Hall, and it was in one of the London orchestras, and, you know, the conductor had this real idea to, like, that the end wasn't some sort of brilliant finish. He didn't want it to spark or, you know, to have this kind of celebratory end. It was almost like a black hole, a vacuum of death, basically. And it was so devastating, so severe, the end. And he wanted all the strings to just finish and not have any release. It was kind of like sound just stops.
Yeah.
And we all stopped our bows on the string, and it was just death.
Brutal.
And it was the most incredible feeling. And, you know, people had tears on stage. Everyone had tears. It was so emotional, like, absolutely brilliant concert. So I love this symphony because of this kind of
amazing
where Shostakovich kind of takes it.
I'm the odd one out. I've never played this before, so I'm excited to play it for the first time. But for me, like moments like that, when you get to the end of a symphony, especially something that people aren't expecting, and it's like the music stops, and then all the air just goes.
I have played this piece many times. I've recorded it with this orchestra and Alexander Lazarev about 22 years ago, probably now. But one of my only experience, I think, of actually hearing the piece live was hearing this orchestra play it. I'd been away for the week, so I hadn't done the concert. And it was Thomas's first ever concert with this orchestra, was Shostakovich 11, and he stood in quite late, I think. So he was a standing conductor. And I was away for the week, and I kept getting texts from people saying, this conductor's amazing. And I was thinking, I cannot believe I'm missing this. So I'm going to go to the concert. And I went to the concert and it was just incredible. The piece obviously is so powerful, but actually his presence that very first time, having never seen him conduct before, was really amazing. So it's quite a special, it will be special, I think, to have him conducting it again after that.
It's quite a debut to have as a conductor, isn't it? Most people want to sort of ease themselves in.
Yeah.
It's like, no, come on then.
I think he's really natural at Shostakovich. My first working with Thomas in London was Shosta 6.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible.
Sometimes when I'm teaching solos or from Shostakovich symphonies to students, I say, if it feels comfortable to play, then it's not right.
You're doing it wrong.
It's not right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of the few composers that you have to give more than you think you have, actually. Yeah. And you should feel completely worn out by the end.
Yeah.
Some composers ask you to be restrained and to not, you can't give it all, but this is a completely different kind of realm of sound.
And it's it's an hour-long piece and the movements are connected, so it's this sort of...
It's quite an assault, isn't it?
It's exhausting.
Concentration as well.
The concentration, I think the emotional nature of playing any Shostakovich symphony, but this one I think is, we'll feel it on stage, and I think that's what's so powerful about hearing it live, is that translates, it's a communal effort between audience and orchestra, I feel, when you play something like this. It's that shared sort of emotion. And
it's like resilience, isn't it? When you all get to the end and you're like...
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, often you can't smile. Like, often a concert will finish and there's an applause and you feel relief or happy. But after a piece like this, you just kind of can't. You've seen something, you've experienced something so devastating.
And you've had to give absolutely everything.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit, obviously, about the first half of the concert, and I think the Festive Overture, obviously, is like so different in mood. I mean, it's probably one of my favourite openers. Interesting, though, isn't it, with Shostakovich? Because even sometimes his celebratory sounding music is written with, bit tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, I mean,
so it's
I wonder at what point in his symphonies it starts. Because like Shostakovich 5 is obviously the famous one where you go, it's a big sort of to the Soviet authorities. But it seems to be a lot more kind of out there by the time you get to number 11. I wonder what happened to him that he suddenly felt that he was just like, right, I'm just going to write what I'm going to write. And
I think he probably had earned the feeling or the right to kind of write what he wanted.
Yeah.
So he could push the boundaries a bit in that sense. But
whenever I play Shostakovich, whichever symphony, he very much spotlights sections, and I think sections of the orchestra. Yeah. So I think it's sort of in a sort of very basic way, you can kind of get to know the sound of the sections quite well through Shostakovich, because he does tend to, the way he writes sort of highlights sections, doesn't it? For example, the violas will play like a tune on their own and no one else is doing anything. Yeah. But still, you don't feel like suddenly there's nothing happening. It's just so powerful the way he writes these individual sort of lines for one body of instruments or one instrument alone.
I just think this concert it's such a special program that it's basically a festival of his music, and he's one of the greatest composers we've ever seen.
There's very few musicians who don't enjoy playing Shostakovich.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you sit.
Yeah.
Like in whatever seat, in whatever section, everybody has got an incredibly important part to play.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it.